Hey everybody, welcome to the first of a new series of book reviews. I've been lucky enough in the past, of course, to get lots of cool new product to show you guys. And this time around, I'm actually getting some new cool products from Games Workshop. So available for pre-order today from GW is going to be the 2017 chapter approved book. I'm testing out a new format for doing this, and of course that means that there'll be some bumps as I figure out how I want to record this and basically what the process for doing this is going to be. Lots of people don't have access to a friendly local retailer or a Games Workshop store, and so the goal for this video, of course, is that you guys can just check out the book and see what you think. So first things first, if you're not familiar with chapter approved, it was, oh man, it's been around forever. So chapter approved is a series from Warhammer 40,000, which back in Rogue Trader used to collect all of the updates from White Dwarf. So there was the Red Book and the first book, the Companion and the Companion, and then the first book, the Astronomicon, which all had articles in them called Chapter Approved. It did things like introduce army lists, new ways to play, background. The Badab War, one of the most famous campaigns in 40k history, actually was a Chapter Approved article. Basically, which started as a little piece of flavor text in the Rogue Trader rulebook, and it just adds things to play in the game. So in this case, what we've got, the 2017 version, it's become a yearly thing, according to Games Workshop, to update and expand the Warhammer 40k universe. And so what we have here in this book is a bunch of sections. So soft cover, I'm gonna go through just the introductory stuff right here. There's what the sort of like the book intentions are, so ways to play, and then Warhammer 40,000 in general just defines what the game is and of course what they were trying to get through here. And then we have all the different ways to play the game: open play, narrative play, match play, and then some faction rules and an appendix. So the goal there is the 3 ways to play: open play, use what you want, play how you want, you make it your game. It's my G.I. Joes against your G.I. Joes. Narrative play, which is of course telling a story or trying to take an archetypal kind of mission type and give it some rules and some framework for you and your friends to play a game. And then match play, which is of course the competitive style with points instead of power, and sort of adding to that more organized sort of way of playing the game, where the intent is you play it with strangers. There's some predetermined, basically, like I guess it would be agreement in the match play rules that you're trying to play a fair game and both play with the same stuff. So open play, we've got apocalypse rules, doing an apocalypse game, some sort of special rules for apocalypse as well. There's 3 apocalypse only Land Raider variants: the Terminus Ultra, Wrath of Melnar, the Angel Infernus, and sorry, the Solemnus Aggressor, and then the Hades Diabolus for the Chaos Marines as well. So this stuff is not legal in match play, it's just for like the open play. And yeah, it's just, I line up all my G.I. Joes, you line up all our G.I. Joes, and we play some games. And then there's some rules and some standards and stuff. We'll flip through this whole thing as we go. I'm just giving you kind of an outline. Narrative play has Planetstrike rules. There's sort of 2 new expanded ways to play the game here. Planetstrike was an old expansion for 4th and 5th edition 40k, which was about planetary landings, and so this gives you some just ways to organize your armies for playing that, and then some actual like missions, so the Planetstrike scenarios. And then Stronghold Assault, which is another way of doing it, and Stronghold Assault is for playing against like big buildings, so literally attacking a stronghold. And then you've got the missions for doing that as well. And then finally, they actually reprint all of the fortification rules in this book. Interestingly, I'm not really sure why, because if you have the, I think it's Index Imperium 2 has all the stuff in it. Maybe I guess they just really wanted to redo it because the index books probably aren't going to get reprinted a lot anymore because Codex is replacing them, and so that stuff might not be as readily available. So I think they've just reprinted it in here so people have access to it. So if you, I'll say you play Eldar and you own the Eldar Codex, you can buy Chapter Approved because you want it anyway, and it's going to give you the rules for all of that additional stuff. So I was confused as to why in the beginning, but it made a little bit more sense as I thought about it, because that stuff might not be like printed anywhere going forward, and it gives you access to all those vehicle rules, or so the stuff like the Vengeance Weapon batteries and stuff that are in the game. And then match play, so new battlefronts, new places to play the game. So there's like a bunch of rules for like a psychic storm planet and stuff like that. And then there's 6 new missions and rules for frontline warfare. Then you've got new Maelstrom missions as well, Eternal War and Maelstrom missions. Some new objective marker rules for Imperial objectives, Chaos objectives, Necron objectives, and sort of actually not even rules, they're just pictures of guys who've converted them for their objective markers. So everything's very objective heavy, of course, in match play. And then we've got faction rules. Now the faction rules are interesting. They're not it's not every faction in 40k, and the sense I get from the faction rules, especially when you look through the list of names here, is it's all the factions that aren't getting a codex for a while. They might not be getting their own treatment for a little bit, and so they're getting faction rules to kind of just nudge them up a power scale a little bit. So not just using the generic ones from the rulebook, and they have a little bit extra to make them feel like they're their own army until such time as like a rulebook gets released. So if you look at the factions, it's Sisters of Battle, Deathwatch, Drukhari, Genestealer cults, Harlequins, Imperial Knights, Necrons, Orcs, Space Wolves, Tau Empire, and Thousand Suns. And that's not to say that they're not going to come out soon. It's just that at the time of printing this, they don't have a codex, so let's give them a little bit of something extra. It's about a page only of stuff per army to make them kind of interesting and unique. And then, of course, there's the appendix, rules for battlefield terrain, the Centric Mechanicus rules, and then just some points adjustments and stuff too. I'll be honest, that was the least interesting part of the book for me. The points adjustments, there's a few really weird things. Some things that we thought wouldn't get more expensive did. Some stuff got more expensive or changed point values. It's actually in a pretty recent codex, which is interesting because like they're not super like there's stuff from the Militarum, not the Astra Militarum codex that like just came out like a month or two ago, and it's changed. Yeah, so that's really it, and that's the point of the book. Faction rules, match play, narrative play, and open play. So does it update your army lists for your army? Maybe. Do you need this? Probably everyone's going to want the new match play missions, if nothing else. And if you do play an army that doesn't have that isn't in like you don't have that index book that had all the buildings and stuff in, you want access to those rules, they're printed in here too. So it's pretty handy generically for everybody. So open play, apocalypse rules, it's kind of reminding everyone, if you know what apocalypse is, I'm not gonna go through this with you. It's for putting all your dudes down on a table and playing a game. It speeds the game up a bit, and it allows you to basically play a fast, big game of 40k without taking the whole weekend. It does a great job of breaking down. Actually, what is nice about this, if you look at like people, place, the playing area, and the plan, it actually gives you really like neat little tidbits, which is clearly coming from having run Apocalypse games in the past. Like whoever wrote this book clearly has an idea of how messy an Apocalypse game can be, because I've seen Apocalypse games that are like huge, like 20,000-30,000 points. We used to run them at the Battle Bunkers at Games Workshop, and you know I've seen them run at Warhammer World, and some of them just wouldn't finish. Like they're so exhausting and they're so big. Like in the early days, you just wouldn't get through them because like they'd take forever. And so what's great about this organizing the apocalypse section is it's clearly the learning points from people who've done it a whole bunch. And again, I'm not gonna go through everything in this book with you guys, but like it's certainly worthwhile if you've never run one before. Take the advice of people who've done it before. So you got all your missions, Exterminatus, basically a hammer and anvil version of Apocalypse. Night March, which is a scatter deployment version, and then Race to Destruction, which is just a standard sort of like run at each other and fight. And of course, you guys can always pause the video if you want to get a little bit closer look at these things. So I'm just gonna kind of like pause on each page for a minute, just so you guys can have a look at what's on them. And then Beyond the Apocalypse, like doing story-based apocalypse missions, not using the 3 scenarios before and coming up with your own. Personal objectives and secret orders, these are a lot of fun. We used to do missions, actually my buddy Lionel used to run apocalypse games before there was an apocalypse in his basement, and we'd play in the basement floor, and he'd always have like sealed orders and secret missions and stuff that we'd play. It was one of my favorite things in the game, was betraying people. Oh, Chris Kratz, we betray each other so often. Instant betrayal. Alliances are made and forged. And then there's some cool stuff, it's like the history of Land Raiders, and then some special Land Raider variants. So it gives you the Terminus Ultra, which is the super las cannon one. You've got the Wrath of Malnar, which is the las cannons and Hellfrost cannons ones. And you can see here they're all marked open play. So like you're not using these in regular 40. they got your number if you think you're gonna use these in regular 40k games. It's not happening. The Solemnus Aggressor, which is the Dark Angel one, and then the Hades Diabolus, which is and they're all Lords of War, which is funny too. If you look at them, they're all not heavy support choices. You gotta take them as Lord of War choice. The Hades Diabolus, which is a Chaos version that has many combi guns on it, like Reaper autocannons and stuff. I need your narrative play section. I will say the art is pretty boss. I don't know if this art's been seen before. I'm actually not super up on the current books, but I'm pretty jazzed about the art in general. This is a Dark Angel illustration with like a big space fleet in the background, some chaos stuff, which is pretty cool. And then we got our Planetstrike rules, so the 6 different missions for Planetstrike. So if you are interested in narrative play, Planetstrike was a lot of fun. It uses a lot of scenery and stuff because it's usually one side's in a defended position, the other side's landing on it. So if you have access to that kind of stuff, it's super cool. And they're really neat. It gets your own detachment style for doing it, and then your own special stratagems. What's really cool about this, the current version of 40k allows, through stratagems, you can add a lot of sort of flavor to a mission and just have it cost CPs. Things like using, like a Planet Quake bomb or crack traps, foxholes and stuff you can add a little bit of that like extra, I guess, spice that makes it thematically appropriate, which is great for narrative play, because you can just spring a trap or something like that on somebody that, you know, story-wise would make sense. These guys would do this if they're defending a planet. Here's all of our missions. So Planetfall, Desperate Assault, Seize and Destroy, Stranglehold, Forlorn Hope, and Planetquake, which are the 6 missions for playing a Planetstrike campaign, and all your deployments. So it's effectively, it's the same as the match play stuff, where you've got the 6 deployment styles, 6 missions, you roll them up, you mix them, and you play a Planetstrike game. I would love to see a campaign weekend or something like that, where you did Planetstrike instead of regular missions. It'd be really neat. I guarantee Warhammer World somewhere's going to do them. Summer Games Workshop, that's already being planned, so just keep posted. If you got one of those places nearby, and you think that's pretty cool, you'll probably have some kind of event you can sign up for relatively soon. Yeah, they do those all the time. And then Stronghold Assault, which is like a variation of Planetstrike, where you're attacking buildings in fortified positions instead. Again, same sort of format. You've got your detachments, warlord traits, and then a special stratagem list for doing it. And then you've got your 6 missions: Breakthrough, Bunker Assault, All-Out Attack, Crossfire, The Big Push, and Last Stand. And of course, these missions are all, you know, basically you can see they're kind of asymmetrical. The defender's always like on a broad line or a short assault, and the attacker like a short assault, and you put your fortifications inside there. And then linear campaigns, where you could do actually like playing through the missions kind of in order. And it would tell a story. So I think that's really cool too, is they give you some sort of like food for thought of like, if you wanted to do this like as an actual like story campaign, and if you're running the campaign or the campaign master, here's a way to organize it that would make sense. And then with reprinted, you guys don't need to see this, they just reprint all the rules for all the building types. So Aegis Defense Line, Imperial Bastion, Defense Line, Firestorm Redoubt. The pages are so thick here, I'm not sure if I'm turning them right or not. Macro Cannons, Vortex Missile, Aquila Strong Point, Void Shield Generator, Sky Shield Landing Pad, and that's it. And we're on to the section everyone's been waiting for, which is match play. It's got a big, cool Gilliman fighting, whatchamacallit, Birdman. Birdman? Not Birdman. What's his name? Magnus the Red. Magnus the Red, Attorney at Law. Harvey Magnus. So new battlefronts. We've got Battleforge armies fighting each other, and the whole idea here gives you kind of a synopsis, like, we want you to play the game different ways, have new missions, new ways to play, yada yada. So 6 new missions: Eternal War, Frontline Warfare, Resupply Drop, Scorched Earth, Dominate and Destroy, Ascension, Roving Patrol, and then Kill Confirm, Targets Opportunity, Tactical Gambit, Race to Victory, and Sealed Orders Recon for Maelstrom. Interesting. So new things in the match play missions: Understrength support. Understrength units can only be included in auxiliary support attachments, so taking understrength squads. Targeting characters. An enemy character with less than 10 wounds can only be targeted if they're both visible to the firer and it's the closest enemy model to the firer. This means that if any other enemy model is closer, whether it's visible or not, then the enemy character cannot be targeted. So they've clarified whether or not, if you can't be seen, you're a viable target or not. So even if you're not like in line of fire, if you're not closest, you can't be shot. Limits of command: you cannot use the command reroll stratagem to affect mission dice rolls. So they've actually defined what's a mission die roll versus what's a regular die roll. This means that if any other enemy mission dice rolls include any dice rolls that are made before the battle begins, such as determining who chooses deployment zones or who gets the first turn. So no more using your CPs to reroll Seize the Initiative, and that's a big deal. Or any rolls to determine if the battle ends or how many victory points are awarded to a player. So you can't use command CPs. So let's say if you get a Maelstrom objective, it's for a D3 objective point or something like that. Can't use CPs to reroll those. Can't see if the game keeps going by using a CP. Can't affect any of the mission dice rolls at all, which is pretty different. And then boots on the ground: when determining which player controls an objective marker, exclude all units that have the flyer battlefield roll. They can never control objective markers, whether they hover or not. And so here's our missions. Frontline Warfare. I'm not going to go through anything except for victory conditions, really, because that's going to define sort of how this mission works. So in victory conditions, seizing control at the end of the game, enemy objective markers are worth a number of victory points to the player who controls it. A player controls an objective marker with within 3. Number of victory points you receive for each objective marker you control depends on its location. If it's in your own deployment zone, it's worth 1. If it's in the enemy's deployment zone, it's worth 4, and the other 2 are worth 2. So in this one, you're placing 4 objective markers. There's a home base one, 2 neutral ones, and a far one. And yeah, that's how they're scored basically. So it's middle are worth 2, far is worth 4, home's worth 1. There's a mission in 5th edition for it. I think that was pretty similar to that. And then you got Slay the Warlord, First Blood, and Linebreaker. We have resupply drop. This one's interesting. At the end of the game, the player with the most victory points wins. Secure supplies. At the end of the game, each of the 2 supply markers left from the battlefield is worth 3. So when you create your objectives in this one, you roll off and you place 6 objective markers. And then the supplies incoming rule means that 1 of those is real and 2 of them are fake. At the start of the 3rd battle round, the player who has the next turn selects 3 objective markers. These are the alpha ones. The remaining 3 are the beta ones. They can be any on the table. The player who randomly selects an alpha marker by rolling a d3, the other 2 are removed from the battlefield. This mission roll, and so it can't be rerolled using command points. So you randomly determine which one's real and which ones are fake, and then you try and hold those ones at the end of the game. Then you got Slay the Warlord, First Blood, and Linebreaker, also on the table. And the next one is called Scorched Earth. So Scorched Earth is really interesting. Scorched Earth is a sort of standard control mission. You play 6 objectives. They can't be 12 inches from the center of each other or 6 inches from battlefield edge. And then when you go to score them at the end of the game, each player scores 1 victory point at the end of each of their turns. So it's a progressively scored mission. For each objective marker they control, a player controls an objective marker if they have guys within 3 usual control rules. Or if it's in your enemy's deployment zone and you control it, you can raise it for D3 and it's removed from the table at the end. So what's really neat is if you're pushing your opponent's zone, you can destroy his objectives and hold your own, and he can destroy yours as well and hold his own. So it's a very interesting push-pull one. And then you have Slay the Warlord, First Blood, Linebreaker as well. And we have Dominate and Destroy. That one is dominate the battlefield. A player scores victory point for each of their objectives. So at the end of each of their turns, for each objective marker they control, player controls an objective marker if they have more models than 3, no quarter given. Each enemy player scores a victory point for destroying as well. So it's both a hold mission and a kill mission. And it's 6 objective markers as well, and that's Slay the Warlord, First Blood, and Linebreaker. So this one's kind of a mixed both and. You get to control and you get to kill as well. And then Ascension. Ascend, each player scores 1 victory point at the end of their turns for each objective marker they control. A player controls an objective marker if they are within 3. However, if only 1 player has any characters within 3 of an objective marker, they control it regardless of the enemy. Furthermore, if a character controls the same objective marker more than 1 of their turns consecutively, it goes up by 2 and then by 3 and then by 4. So you're trying to get your characters around objective markers. Guard are going to be so good at this. And then hold them round after round after round. So imagine a conscript blob with characters all around him and just like in the middle of an objective parked there and you can't move them away. And there's like 4 characters, so if one dies, the next one's scoring progressively 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And this one's 3 battlefield objectives, so there's not 6. Slay the Warlord, First Blood, and Linebreaker once again. And then we got Roving Patrol, Taking Holds. At the end of the game, the player with the most victory points wins. Each objective marker is worth 3. A player controls it if they have guys within 3. Slay the Warlord, First Blood, Linebreaker. But Roving Patrol, their opponent uses create the battlefield and terrain. The player rolls off, and the winner determines the standard deployment zones first. So you actually do deployment zones before you do objectives in this case. And then their opponent uses the other deployment zone. The player places 1 objective marker at the center of the battlefield. Then starting with the players who determine the deployment map, they each place 1 more in their deployment zone. So there's only 3 basically on the table, but you get to place them after you've determined deployment, so you can tell where they go. And then reserve forces, any units not started in the battle can start in reserve. At the end of your first movement phase, roll a d6 for each unit in reserve, and on 3+ they need to set up wholly or within the deployment zone and wholly within 6 of any battlefield edge. If units embark on a transport, they'll arrive with their transport. And you alternate deploying starting forces units. You actually split your army in half in this one. Each player selects a battlefield army, and then before rolling a d3 to randomly they divide into 3 forces and then d3 to see which one shows up. And that's their starting force. The rest of them go into reserve. So you only start with 1/3 of your army, basically, counting down by units. Again, Guard are going to be really good at this one. And then they show up randomly during the course of the game. And Slay the Warlord, First Blood, and Linebreaker. And we got Maelstrom missions. I'm honestly not as interested in these, to be fair. Kill confirmed. I'm not going to go through them all. The Eternal War ones are the ones I really care about. Target's a priority, which gives you an extra victory condition. So opportunity loss, the sort of so your tactical objectives, opportunity loss at the start of each of the player's turns before generating new tactical objectives. All of the remaining ones are discarded. So you only get to try and score them once during the game, basically. And kill order on kill confirmed. In this mission, tactical objectives that are achieved when enemy unit is destroyed can only be discarded when they are achieved, unless they're impossible to achieve, like Witch Hunter. So yeah, kill confirmed. You have to do kill ones, and you can't discard them. In this one, it's if you don't do them, then they get thrown away. Second chance, though, you can spend 2 CPs to hang on to it. Select 1 active one, and you can keep it. You still generate 3 new ones, up to a total of 4. And you got tactical gambits. This tactical objectives. The gambit at the start of each player's turn. For generating new tactical objectives, the player must declare how many they think they can achieve. 1, 2, 3, or 4. They must generate until they have 4. Battle, and then how does that work? Bold gambit. At the end of each player's turn, they must count how many they achieved during the turn, and compare to the number they thought they'd achieved. If they have less, if they have at least that many tactical objectives, they score a number of victory points equal to the number they declared. If they achieve less, however, their opponent scores that many victory points. So you have to be sure you can do them in this one, or you don't get them at all, which is kind of neat. Race to victory. This mission uses... Oh, it's the battle length that changes in this one. In this mission, the players are attempting to achieve 10 tactical objectives before their opponent. The game ends at the end of the battle round, which either player gets 10 or more tactical objectives. Otherwise, on round 5, it's 3+, and then continues going. Designers note the target of 10 tactical objectives assumes the players are using armies for the point limit of between 1,001 and 2,000 points. If it's less than this, it's 8. If it's more than this, it should be increased to 12. That one's neat too. Glory to the first. The first player to achieve a tactical objective scores 3 victory points. And then at the end of the game, the player with the most victory points is the winner. If both players are the same, the game is draw. In addition to achieving tactical objectives, victory points are scored in the following way. So you have 3 bonus victory points. The tactical objectives aren't just your VPs. You end the game at 10, so it's actually possible that you could get 10, but they're smaller than your opponents, and lose because you didn't have as many VPs. So you have to be careful with those ones. Sealed orders. Secret mission. This mission, players keep their tactical objectives secret from each other, only revealing tactical objectives from achieving them. And then acceptable losses. Stratagem. In this mission, you can to spend 1 CP. Use stratagem at the end of your turn to discard up to 3 of your active tactical ones. And then, yeah, if they start the player's turn, if they have no tactical objectives remaining, they must generate new ones. The first player to run out of tactical objectives, they generate 5 new ones. The second time they do it, they generate 4 new ones, etc. And that's it. Yeah. First Blood to the Word Linebreaker. Recon. It's got reserve forces. So it's a lot like the other tactical recon one. Tactical objectives, switching conditions are the same. Tactical objective plus First Blood, Civil War Linebreaker, and you divide your army into thirds like you did in the Eternal War one. Objective markers. This is more of a guidelines section. There's not really any rules in here, but it's just like a art hobby thing for making themed objective markers for your army. So painting them, basing them, numbering them, it's all a good idea. Some examples. Here's the store-bought ones. Here's some homemade guard ones. Vital supplies. Some nifty looking chaos ones. It's all just using bits. I like this one using the Necrons off the Ghost Ark. It's pretty cool. Just the ends of 1,000,000 Drukhari ships. 1,000 Tyranid arms and guns for those ones. Tau bits, because you always got to have more drones. 1,000 mech boys and mech planes died to make those ones. And then now we're into the meat of it, the faction rules. So here we go. This is the stuff you've all been waiting for. We've got, basically this is just a syllabus of like, hey, if you want to use these faction rules, then here's what you need to do to get them. So let's go through them one at a time. We got Sororitas, Warlord trait, Inspiring Order. You can reroll failed morale tests for friendly Adeptus Sororitas if they're within 6 of your Warlord. Relic, Blade of Ammunition. It's pretty cool. +2 strength, -3 AP, and 3 damage. So for a strength 3 sister battle, that makes your strength 5. -3 stays pretty hot, 3 damage is pretty hot. They're not, the problem is most of that faction is like a 3+ to hit. I think there's a lot of 2+ to hit in there, except for Celestine. And oh boy, did she get expensive. You'll see that later on. And then 2 new stratagems, Martyrdom. You can spend a CP if a Sororitas character from your army has been slain, kill them off the battlefield, and then roll a d6 on a 2+. You can perform an act of faith immediately. Purity of Faith, use stratagem with an Psyker mass with psychic power within 24 inches of any Adeptus Sororitas units. Roll 4+, it's negated. And that's only 1 CP. So 1 CP and then a 4+, you just negate it. So good luck warp timing within 24 inches of a sister's army. They just turn that off on a 4+, which would be obnoxious because you got it off too, so you can't try and do it again. Yeah, that makes them hard to use. Deathwatch, Warlord trait, Bane of Monstrosities. You can reroll failed vehicle roll, or sorry, wound rolls for your Warlord when attacking enemy vehicles or monsters. It only affects your Warlord though. If it was models within 6, it might be good. I mean, I guess that's okay. Your Warlord's just a dude though. And then your Relic is the Beacon Angelus. Once per battle at the end of your movement phases, the bearer can use this beacon to teleport a unit to his position. When he does so, select a friendly Deathwatch infantry or biker unit that's either on the battlefield or in the teleportarium. In either case, remove the unit and set them up wholly within 6 and not within 9 of the enemy. and that's it. So you can just pull a dude basically as a relic. I guess that's cool. Might be cool. I can't really see the use for it. And then stratagems, you got Clavis. Use stratagem in your fight phase. Select any vehicle within 1 inch of the Watchmaster from your army. And on a D6 on a 2+, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, yeah. And then Death of the Alien, use a stratagem before a Deathwatch unit from your army is chosen to attack in the fight phase. Each time you make a hit roll of 6+ for a model in that unit during the Imperium, if it can, if it's targeting a unit that does not have the Imperium or Chaos unaligned keyword, immediately make an extra attack. So anybody who's an alien, basically, so you can't be Imperium, Chaos, or a building, you get Death of the False Emperor against them, basically. So it's you roll 6, get an additional attack. Then we got Drukhari, your Warlord trait, Blood Dancer, each time. So basically, there's a Witch Cult or a Coven one, and there's just Drukhari characters. So there's 3 different kinds, depending on who your Warlord is. If you're Witch Cult, it's Blood Dancer. Each time you roll a hit of 6+ for your Warlord in the fight phase, it causes 3 hits instead of 1. That's bananas. Master Regenicist, your Warlord heals D3 wounds at the start of each of your turns. And then Hatred Eternal, reroll hit and wound rolls of 1 for your Warlord in the fight phase. Then we got the Relic, which is the Parasite's Kiss. You can replace Splinter Pistol with it, and it's 12-inch range, pistol 2, strength 1, -2 save, 2 damage, wounds on a 2+ unless targeting a vehicle, and which is always a 6+. Each time this wound kills an enemy model, you get a wound back. It eats the dudes it's killing. And then you get your Webway Portal for 1 or 3 CPs. Use a stratagem during deployment. If you spend 1 CP, you can set up 1 Drukhari infantry, biker, or beasts unit from your army on the Webway. If you spend 3 CPs, you can set up 2 such units in the Webway instead. Units in the Webway can emerge at the end of any of your movement phases, set them up anywhere in the battlefield more than 9 from the enemy unit. So you can use this on like your big critters, like your big monstery murder things, and they can set up in the Webway and then just pop off on the enemy, which would be bananas. So anything that doesn't have like Deep Strike, you could just give Deep Strike to. Genestealer cults. Warlord trait, Focus of Adoration. So your Warlord, friendly Genestealer cult infantry units can do heroic interventions. So if your Warlord character gets attacked, instead of the character heroically intervening, the plebs jump in front of him and try and save his life. Which kind of I like that because it's thematic. Like it could be useful and it would be super handy with like Genestealers and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I just like it because it's super thematic to have like the hypnotized, psychically controlled dudes jump in. The Relic is the icon of the cult ascendant. Add 1 of the strength characteristic of friendly Genestealer cult infantry units, so they're within 6 of the bear. That's pretty cool. Stratagems are Return to the Shadows. Use stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select a Genestealer cult infantry unit from your army that's more than 6 inches away from the enemy. Remove that unit from the battlefield at the end of your next movement phase. That can show up using cult ambush. So they disappear and come back. Meticulous, that's could get you around the table really fast too, so that's pretty cool. Meticulous Uprising, use stratagem before rolling for the cult ambush table. Roll 2 dice instead of 1 and choose either of the results for 1 CP. If the unit you're rolling for is a Primus or is arriving with a Primus, roll 3 dice instead of 1 and select any of the results. That's pretty awesome. Then we have the Harlequins. I'm just going to pick this up now because I'm trying to get rid of the glare for you guys. Harlequins, they get the Luck of the Laughing God for the Warlord trait, reroll 1s to hit for the Warlord, and the Relic is the Mask of Secrets. The Bear increases their leadership characteristic by 1. In addition, all enemy units with the leadership characteristic reduce their leadership by 1 if they're within 6. And it's Webway Assault, slipping from the Webway with exaggerated stealth. Spend 1 CP, you can set up, it's the same as the Webway Portal for the Dark Elder. It's the exact same thing. And Prismatic Blur, use stratagem after Harlequin unit from your army has advanced. They have a 3+ invul save until the start of your next turn. That's pretty cool. 3+ invul's legit, especially considering I'm pretty sure some of them can run in charge. They can advance in charge. And here it is, the important one. Well, not the important one, but the one I cared about, which is the Imperial Knights. Yeah, here we go. Baroness is gonna get great. Knight Seneschal, your Warlord gets +1 attacks, so 15 tramples or 5 giant chainswords. And then the Relic is Ravager. Your Reaper Chainsword on your Warlord gains the following profile: +6 strength, -3 AP, 6 damage. Reroll 1s to hit. YOLO! Baroness is gonna get some work done. Potentially cause 30 wounds. Take that, Owen's Land Raiders. I'm pretty jazzed about that. I mean, it's cool because it costs me no points. I just name a Knight of Warlord in my Knight army now, and they get better. They just get 5 attacks, and Baroness is the logical one to do it. 1, because she's called Baroness. So of the 4 knights I have painted, her name makes her sound like she would be in charge the most. And 2, she's the melee lady. She's got the the thermal cannon, the Reaper Chainsword. She's perfect. She's gonna be in charge. She's gonna be amazing. She's gonna kill everything she sees. And then stratagem, you get rotate iron shields on all knights now. 1 CP, and if they have to, it has invulnerable save. I can add 1 to any invulnerable save throws made for that unit until the end of the phase. So for 1 CP, basically, Baroness can run forward, get a 4+ invul against shooting, and then go in and charge things and murder them with Ravager. Trample's still gonna be better, but she'll have 15 tramples, which is pretty awesome. And with the Necrons, Warlord trait, if a Necron character other than Catan Shard is your Warlord, you can give them Enduring Will, reduce any damage inflicted on your Warlord by 1 to a minimum of 1. So just takes forever for him to die, which is amazing. And then Veil of Darkness is a relic once per battle at the end of your movement phase. You can use the Veil of Darkness when they use the bearer and up to 1 friendly unit. Within 3 is removed from the battlefield, and you send out anywhere else. They just do their boop and they teleport around. And then CPs, Repair Submatrines, you can make a Canoptic unit, get a reanimation roll, and then Enhanced Reanimation Protocol, spend 1 to reroll all your failed, all your 1s for reanimation that 1 turn. So that's pretty handy. Giving the Canoptic ones a thing is pretty great. Orcs, might is right, just give +1 strength to your Warlord. Relic, he gets Head Wappa's Kill Choppa. Big Choppas only. +2 strength, -2 AP, D3 damage. When you make a 6+ wound roll, it inflicts D3 mortal wounds. Boss, that's so cool. Mob up, use a stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select 2 orc infantry units from your army that are within 2 inches of each other. They're the same data sheet, so like 2 boys units, 2 storm boys units. And they have to have, if one of the units has 10 or more models and the other has 10 or fewer models, the 2 units merge, and for the rest of the battle, they're counted as a single unit. So you just mob up, so your little unit just joins the big unit, they become a big thing, big mob again. And then Daka, use the stratagem before an orc infantry or biker unit shoots. Each time you make a 6+ to hit, immediately make an extra attack with the same gun using the same weapon, and they can't generate further attacks that way. So you just get bajillions of bullets. We have Space Wolves, Warlord trait, Saga of the Warrior Born. You can choose your fight first in the fight phase, and if you charge, then you just alternate between them and somebody else. Relic, Kraken Bone Sword, which is pretty cool. Melee +1 strength, -4 AP, 1 damage, and then you reroll failed wound rolls with it. It's only 1 damage, but you can see it as being like valuable fighting big things with like super high toughness. Especially because you'd be strength 5 then, so I should give it to my Wolfguard or my 1 on a Thunderwolf, he'd be strength 6. Pretty good. True Grit, this one's one of my favorites. 1 CP, you can fire your bolt weapons when you're engaged in melee. So you can fire them all, and they all become pistol 2 for that turn. So all your bolters, heavy bolters, storm bolters, combi bolters all become pistol 2. And you just blaze away up close. And then Cunning the Wolf, you just, during deployment, when setting up a Space Wolf infantry unit, you can set this unit up to hunt instead of being on the battlefield. At the end of any of your movement phases, set up wholly within 6 of any battlefield edge and more than 9 inches away from any models. That's coming with Terminators pretty great. They can go on the hunt and then just show up on a flank, because why not for 1 CP? We're on to the Tau Empire. This one's pretty boss too. Exemplar of the Kion for your Warlord. He can reroll failed hit rolls as long as he didn't move. If they move for any reason, they lose this trait at the start of their next turn. Exemplar of the Mont Ka, the Warlord can advance and still shoot. And then the Relic is the Pure Tide Engram Neurochip. Once per battle, you can reroll a single hit roll, wound roll, or damage roll for the bear or a friendly Sept model within 6 inches. In addition, if your battle full, roll a d6. Each time your opponent uses a stratagem on a 6, you gain a bonus command point. So you earn command points by your opponent using command points, and you get a little cheeky reroll in there too. And then this one's amazing. For 1 CP uplink Marker Light, use a stratagem after an enemy that's been hit by a Marker Light by a model from your army. Place D3 +1 Marker Light counters next to that unit instead of only 1. So if you need to get your super missiles off from your big giant walker guy, you spend 1 CP, and instead of having that 1 hit that you needed to have 2, you get D3 +1 instead, which is great. So when you're trying to sink the Bismarck or kill some big Baneblade, it's way easier. And then Thousand Suns, Arrogance of Aeons. Reroll any failed deny the witch test you take for your Warlord, period. And then his Relic is the Athenian Scrolls. If you roll a double when making a successful psych test for the bear, your opponent cannot attempt to resist that psych power. That's it. No, the psyker will still suffer perils or whatever, but you just can't deny it. That's bonkers. Because, yeah, well, luckily named characters can't have access to that, so you can't put that on Airmon, but still crazy. And then Psychic Powers, Zinch's Firestorm, 7+, if manifested, select an enemy within 18 of the Psyker Invisible, roll 9 dice, you get a mortal wound for every 6. Yeah, you roll Yahtzee and you just blast almost anything to pieces. And then you've got Kabbalistic Focus as your stratagem. Use stratagem before attempting to manifest a Psychic Power with Thousand Sun Psyker. That is within 6 inches of at least 2 other friendly Thousand Sun Psychers. You can add 2 to the Psychic Fest. So you can do +2 Psych tests if you got a bunch of Psychers all together. And now we're on to the appendix. And it's just going through all of the errata stuff. So this section of the book is more like the errata stuff. So this is where they change point values. They put some rules in for the battle zones, battle-forged armies, and ladder campaigns. So just these guys, rules for all these little bits and pieces of terrain that I don't think have had rules before. So like the Sector Mechanicus, the Hematrope Reactor, the Thermal Plasma Regulators, and the Thermic Plasma Conduits. Battle zones. So this is for working on industrial worlds. If you're playing with this type of terrain, you have access to these if your opponent agrees with you. It doesn't affect match play, but it's like you can use the terrain a little bit more. Crazy psychic stuff. So Empiric battle zones. You're fighting on a planet near the Iter or Crone world or something like that, and you get all these extra psychic things that can happen. And then ladder campaigns. Just advice on running ladder campaigns. Again, this is narrative stuff. And updated point values. Okay, so I'm not gonna know whether things went up and down for the most part. It's the stuff I'm gonna have played against that I'm probably gonna be the most aware of. So I'm not super handy on this one, but I know Robert Guerrilla Man became 385. That's more expensive. Razorbacks went up. Stormhaven Gunship went up. Terminator Squads went down, I think, a little bit. And then Celestine went up. She's 200 now, 50-point increase. That's pretty big. And then she's 250. She takes both her Gemini. What else we got that's super obnoxious? I don't see anything else I can think of because this is mostly just like weapon costs. Call went up actually. Oh no, he went down actually by 10 points. I think he was 250 before that. And some changes to Space Wolf units. Not really a lot. War gear costs going up and down slightly. Change the Death Guard units. And this is where I was like, what? Because things got more expensive. The Astropath went up to 30 points, where he was like 17 before, or 18 or something like that. Conscripts, of course, changing points in size. The Mana Core got more expensive, I believe. The Wyverns definitely got more expensive base. The Primaris Psyker is only 38, but you pay 7 for his, or 8 for his Warp Staff now, so he's 46. He went from 40 to 46, something like that. So he's a bit more expensive. Because his weapon was really good for the points you paid for him. And then Chaos Space Marine stuff, Thousand Suns. The Chaos Bastion has a cost for its heavy bolter now. Harlequin war gear. The Drukhari units changing prices a little bit. Orcs, Morkanaut change price. Scorches, War Buggies, and War Tracks. Genestealers went to 15 points. And the updated points values for Forge World. There's only one most people care about here. Some of the super heavies and stuff have changed. If you look here, the Astartes War Gear, Hellforge units have changed a little bit. The one everybody really cares about, though, is going to be the 80-point cost now on the Malefic Lord. He changed a whole bunch. Elysian stuff, more Militarum stuff, Death Corps stuff, Renegades and Heretics. There he is, Malefic Lord, 80 points. Sorry, everybody that built 25 of those. They pricey now, they're spendy. And then we've got the Knight stuff, the Porphyrium up to 600 points base, Titan Legions units, the Warlord Battle Titan, no, it's 6,000 points now. Whatever. No, they're not going to play with that much. And I think that's just about it. We're coming to the end of the day. Yep, Battleforged armies. This is just giving you an example of an army roster and some army rosters. And that's it. We're done. Nailed it. Finished the book. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to be doing an AMA on this at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, or actually the day this comes out, so Saturday. It's the same day this video launches, so you get to do an AMA. And if you're watching in the future, it'll all be published live. So if you want to have some questions about this book and ask them, you can do a little sit and chat show with me. It'll be about an hour long. And then afterwards, I'll probably be sitting out in the GMG Discord server, so chatting there too. So if you see me there, ask me some questions. If you want to jump in the AMA and ask me some questions, you can. And that's it. So that was my first stab at doing one of these. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like it, we'll do this format again next week for another cool review if someone's not out yet. And you can check it out then. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time for more of this, reviews of products going forward on Saturdays. Till then, I'm Ash. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Deathwatch Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.